And we are live. Welcome to the Winner Circle, the podcast covering jiu-jitsu, MMA, and other combat sports. I am one of your hosts, Eugene Plowden, and with me, as always, one of my podcast partners right now, Isaiah Gathens. What's up, man?
What's going on? How you feel, man?
I'm good. If this is your first time with us, I want you to know we are members of the Martial Arts Center Network. On Mondays, you got the Winner Circle with myself, Isaiah Gathens, Chris Walker, and Angel Diaz. Tuesdays, you can get the Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. Wednesdays, you can get the traditional way with Brett Shumway. And on Thursdays, you got Fists, Kicks, and Flicks with myself, Joe Hartley, and Angel Diaz. For more information, you can check us out on all of our social media platforms. Just look for the Martial Arts Center Network on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Patreon. Isaiah, it's showtime. What's happening, man?
Hey, man, nothing, man. Living the dream, right? Watching those Lions today.
You know what, man? I was with my son.
Oh my God.
I was with my son. We went to go see the Fantastic Four, but I had a feeling the Lions weren't going to do too well this year. So I'm not really expecting as much as the previous years, but I think next year is going to be a better year. I know it's early; it's only one game. I get it, but I just didn't like what they were doing in the offseason. So
yeah.
So
how was the movie? How was the Fantastic Four? I haven't seen it.
So, man, I do another podcast called Superflix with Joe Hartley.
So we should reserve it for that, I guess.
Well, no. I'll talk to you about it a little bit. It wasn't as good to me as I wanted it to be because I just feel like they could have done much more. It was all right. It was cool, but I think it could have been better for where Marvel is now. It should have been so much better than what it was. I mean, at this point in time, you got all the characters. Why you put this Fantastic Four in another Earth, in another universe? I don't understand why you made it look like a futuristic 60s style. I don't understand why they did that at all. If you saw the Thunderbolts, did you see the Thunderbolts?
No, and this is DC, right? Because you said Marvel. Is it Marvel or is it DC?
Marvel. It's Marvel.
It's Marvel. Okay.
Yeah. Well, not DC. The Thunderbolts hinted at something from the Fantastic Four, and you would think because Thunderbolts came out earlier this year, you would thought that there would have been something leading into that from this movie. Nothing. So
just glossed over it.
Yeah. So I was a little bit confused about that too. So the final post credit scene was stupid. It really didn't make any sense. The mid credit scene was fine, but the last one, I really wasn't feeling the last one. It just didn't make any sense. So, but it was all right. I just thought it was going to be better than what it was, in my opinion.
Yeah, for me, when I watch these things, so I follow these things, but only from like when we were kids and there was the cartoons. Mm-hmm. I was never a comic collector. So when I speak to people and they give their opinion about it, oftentimes because they are diehard fans who actually collected and read the comics. Mm-hmm. I used to watch all of the cartoons and anything that's surrounding it. I'll read up on stuff online and follow it that way. But I'm more a face value type of person. So I'm more, even though I understand what's going on, I understand the characters, I understand a little bit about the universes and stuff like that. When I'm like a casual, I'm just watching it on the surface. So whatever you're presenting to me, I'm going to either enjoy or not enjoy. I'm not like them people, like maybe even yourself. A lot of people are like, I can't believe they did this person like this. It's like, yeah, I don't even know what you're talking about right now. Like, this, it seemed fine to me. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
I'm kind of like that a little bit because I am one of those people who collected comics growing up. Me and Trav, my Uncle Rick, he's the one that really got us into comics. He's a big comic guy. I don't know if he still goes to comic book stores if he reads the books or not. But Fantastic Four was one of those books that my uncle used to read. And when he got done with them, he used to give them to me and Trav. He wasn't a collector. He would just read the issue. And then he'll give them to me and Trav. And me and Trav took those comics and started making our collections because I did collect a lot. I had a lot of comics. And over the years, man, we had some damages at my mom's house where they were. And they got all messed up. But Trav's comics are they're still okay. Like Travis comics are at my mom's house in the attic, and they're still in a box. And his comics are good, but mine, I moved around so many times and took them and had them in and out. And we had a flood at the house, and I had them in the basement in a cardboard box instead of having them in a plastic container or something, and they got really messed up, man. So yeah. I was tripping on that. So.
Rookie mistake.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. So it's all good. Now, you know what? I want to change the order of the topics that we got for tonight. Because Chris Walker, he'll be on with us pretty soon. He's supposed to be. He's on his way home. So I told him just hop on when he gets home. And instead of talking about the first topic I was going to talk about, I'm going to switch it up a little bit. And we're going to talk about topic number 3. Mike Tyson is going to fight Floyd Mayweather Jr. I'm not sure when they're having this fight. Do you know when this fight is supposed to happen?
I think it's supposed to be April of next year. I think they're talking about.
Okay.
I think they said April of next year. I could be wrong.
Okay. Now, I know some people are okay with it, because they're like, okay, they get in the bag, they getting money, of course it's going to be a few millions for both of them. But to me, it's just a sparring match because I don't think neither one of them are going to try and knock each other out. I think they're just going to be, just sparring with each other. I can't take this fight seriously. I don't think most of the time when people watch boxing, they're looking to see somebody knock somebody out. And I don't think Tyson or Floyd are going to try and knock each other out. I really don't think Floyd could knock out Tyson, even though Tyson is in the 60s. I'm not sure that Floyd could even knock him out if he tried to knock him out. What do you think?
Boy. This timing for this announcement was very apropos, giving our winner circle discussion. I think that was just last week where we were talking about the potential Layla Ali and
Clarissa Shields.
Thank you. And Clarissa Shields matchup. We were talking about that and asking how these things are. How is it helping boxing? Is it helping? Is it hurting? And did we think the matchup would happen? And then, not even a week later, we're sitting here and we're having a totally different discussion about something that's even more ludicrous. In this Floyd Money Mayweather versus Mike Tyson. I just think that at some point in time, it became a realization to boxing that from an integrity standpoint, it's not especially important as long as people are willing to consume it and pay it. And it's marketable. We're going to do it. And we don't really care about the integrity of boxing or anything of that nature anymore. If people are willing to pay, we're going to give it to them. If you're willing to digest it, we're going to cook it up and we're going to serve it. And that's kind of where we are here. It's unfortunate. And we talked about this. I talked about this last week about how these people are able to slide under the guise of the word exhibition. Mm-hmm. Right. And that way that no matter what happens in the fight, even if you see it with your own 2 eyes, then you can say, the person can later say, oh, no, I didn't lose. That's not on my record. That was an exhibition. And that's what's really creating a very murky place, I believe, for boxing. And the fact that these people are hiding behind this particular word, they're getting paid as actual professionals, as if it's an actual fight, because people are paying for a price to see this exhibition. So they want their cut, but then yet it doesn't affect their record at all. And that's absolutely insane to me. How serious they're going to take it, we know Mayweather, he knows how to market and build the fight. Mm-hmm. I think that Mayweather's last knockout was, that cheap shot knockout to Victor Ortiz back maybe was that like 15 years ago or something like that. Yeah. That was his last knockout, I believe. I could be wrong, but that was a long time ago. And it wasn't even, it was like, there was an asterisk next to that. Mm-hmm. So the truth of the matter is Floyd by nature is not a knockout artist. That is not something that he has been known to be for a very long time. Mm-hmm. Mike on the other side of it is, but the fact that he struggled in his last fight to be able to, his legs didn't look like they were up underneath him. His legs just looked really weird if you looked at his legs.
Wait, are you talking about his fight with Jake Paul?
Yes,
or whatever,
yeah.
Or
that's right.
Okay, because he did fight Roy Jones also, and
that's true. Do we help them with this training camp for the last one? So I saw him not live on pads, but they would go up to some of the mountains that we run and we work up out at, and he took some footage and shared it with me and shared it with some people. and Mike looked prime, like prime Mike back when he was getting ready for that Paul fight. And when he got out there, his movement, his mobility looked compromised. And again, Floyd might have saw something in that fight. I'm sure he did. He's a smart man where he's like, I can get out there. I can survive. I can get this back. Because as Floyd's he's a businessman, but he is also a man with a lot of spending habits as well. So his money's working for him, but he's still young enough to where he needs to still be eyeballing, making some money, and then capitalizing off his name. Because like we talked about last week, when we talked about Bud Crawford and a lot of these other people are getting close to his record, as these people start to ascend and they're still much younger than him, they're at some point in time going to pass him. So because of the fact that he's not necessarily a fan favorite as far as his personality, him as an actual person, once people start to usurp him and pass him up, then his relevance is going to fade away awful fast. So he's trying to find a way to be able to continue to fight these notable people, these big names, still capture his relevance, still be able to get, crazy amounts of money in the process, and just, still stay active in the community. And this is a smart way of him being able to do it, because he knows that if Paul fought him and beat him, then he can't be in these talks for one of the greatest if these other YouTubers and other boxers are beating some of these legends and he's still sitting on the couch. No matter what he's accomplished, he still has to find a way to be able to cement not just his legacy, but some level of relevance. And this is a means of being able to do it. Mike's going to take the fight because it's Mike. He likes a challenge, but we know that he had many years where he struggled financially because of those taxes and the IRS and the feds was on his head, and he was just trying to make a comeback. He's still in shape, and it's an opportunity for him to be able to search to be able to do the same. Are they going to try to knock each other out? I don't know. That I can't say, but it's just another one of these side shows that boxing's promoting right now, to be honest. Yeah. At least they're both boxers, though. At least they're both legitimate boxers. Weight class is far removed, but it's just another one of those side shows that boxing has become, to be honest with you.
So what do you do if you're a boxer? Like, do you have to now become, if you're a boxer, in order to make a name for yourself and remain a boxer, are you going to have to be a YouTuber or a streamer and become popular also at the same time that you're trying to be a boxer? Because if I was 18 years old and I wanted to make a name for myself, it seems like just going to the gym and having boxing bouts, that's not going to be good enough. I got to make a name for myself somehow. I got to stand out. Otherwise, nobody would care about who Eugene Plowden is, because there's a lot of young guys out here right now that's putting in that work. They're in the gym. They're going to get up at 4:00 in the morning and go do some road work, and nobody knows who they are. I mean, when was the last time you watched boxing on TV? I don't. I'm not a big boxing guy like that anyway. But when was the last time you seen some up and comer on I don't even know if they even still have boxing on NBC. I mean, regular NBC, not a cable channel or ABC. I don't think so. I don't think they do that anymore. Or ESPN used to have boxing. I don't know if they still have boxing anymore. So how do you make a name for yourself and go up that card?
The world, the landscape of the world has changed, exponentially. And I'm gonna take boxing out the equation, and I'm gonna have you, because we're around the same age, just venture back and remember the basketball players back in the day. Let's just think about how the basketball players looked back in the day. Remember how Patrick Ewing, and Sam Cassell and Sean Kemp, these are some ugly brothers. You know what I mean? Like, these brothers, they can hoop, but these brothers, man, they look like they've been through it. You know what I mean? These guys back in the day, they was playing ball. They was elbowing, punching the teeth coming out. They didn't care. These brothers was ugly. They had money. They can play. It was ugly. Look at the people in the NBA now. Look at the basketball players. It's like, you can hoop, but these people are also, they didn't look like models. Look at MMA. Look at the original group of people that was in MMA, like coming up back in the day in the golden year. Again, these brothers, man, I'm telling you, they wasn't nothing to look at. They can fight, but they wasn't nothing to look at. Even the first crop of women, You know, aside from the Gina Carano's and a couple other people that was, you know, attractive. Even the first group of women, the women I was putting in work before that was a UFC, on some of the other, the Bulldogs and all the other type of stuff. These women was rough, man. You know, and now everybody looks like a model. So you learned that at some point in time, it had to be about more than just your skill and capabilities. We had to be able to market you. And then as social media began to grow, people started being able to say, well, I don't really need you to even do that because I can market myself, because as long as I have a phone, I have a camera. As long as I have a camera, I can market myself. If you look at music, if you look at acting, they're only bringing people in who already has a large following. My son did acting for quite some time, and I explained that to him. You know, he was like, I want to focus on my acting. I said, if you want to be an actor, then you need to fight. That's what you need to do. I said, when's the last time you seen a brand new actor? When they hire an actor, where you're like, where'd this guy come from? No, but you will see Conor McGregor in the movie. You know, you will see Gina Carano in the movie. You will see Ronda Rousey in the movie. People with no acting skills. He went to school. He was in plays. You know what I'm saying? All the while he was in middle school and high school. Big plays. You know, leading roles. You know, and even when he's in college. But the bottom line is that in today's age, it has to be about more than just your skill and talent and ability, because it has to be about your looks now. And then now, even in music, back in the day, remember you had to go to A&R and then they had to listen to you or you. They don't do that no more. You know, you dropping your stuff on your own Spotify, on your own SoundCloud, on your own social media platforms, and then you getting all these people. They're finding you because of the fact that you're trending, and they're contacting you. So that whole A&R process is not necessary anymore. So you bring this to boxing or to any of the other combat sports, you're talking about you have to be able to fight well. Don't pick up a loss. If you lose one fight in boxing, you may as well retire. You may as well quit. Because there's so many people undefeated, like you said, that's at 4 o'clock in the morning putting that road work in that you ain't never heard about. That's undefeated. They 30-0. By the time you see them one time on television, they've already won 2 or 3 titles. And I do follow boxing, not as much as I used to back in the day when it was on Showbox, on Showtime. I used to watch it. It was really exciting, but I still do follow it for the most part. But you gotta have some skills. You better not have any losses on your record. You know what I mean? Because as corrupt and crooked as boxing is to begin with, a lot of these guys are paying for wins to begin with, you know, in these setup fights. But it's so many undefeated guys. If you lose one fight, you automatically down at the bottom of the pile. It's going to be hard to work your way from up underneath it. And then you have to have a social media presence right now. These people from these promotions, they don't want to have to spend $1 or a dime out their pocket. They want you to come packaged and ready-made. And that's what the world is about now, which is the reason why you're having these social media, you know, TikTokers and YouTubers that are fighting now, because they're looking at these people's numbers. And then they'll see these people hitting pads, or they'll have a sparring match or whatever else. And they're like, look, it's all we have, they're packaged and ready made. All we got to do is contact them, send the contract over, slap their name on something, and they're going to bring their 10 million followers over to our platform. They're going to use under the guise of, we're getting new, fresh eyes on boxing. Bro, boxing been around for a long time. Some people's interested in boxing, they would have watched it before now. You're not getting fresh eyes on boxing. Yeah, they're watching it, but they're watching it for this clown. You know what I mean? And the minute that he or she ain't fighting no more, they're not going to continue to be an avid boxing fan and continue to watch these people who've already been fighting, already been champions. Boxing's been around. It's no secret. It's not up underneath a rock where you have to, you know, bring these people over. They're looking for ready-made individuals. So to answer your question more specifically, yeah, if you can fight, that's great. You better be an amazing fighter, you know, and you better be something to look at, and you better be building your social media presence up, and you better try to stay as flawless as you can, because it's too many people that don't have any of those credentials as far as from your skills perspective, but they are something good to look. They are good to look at. They do have a large social media following. And they've expressed interest in doing this activity, and they're probably going to get a nod or looked at because they're going to have a voice and a presence before the person who can just fight. Remember, we've been talking about Rocky for the past couple of weeks. Remember Rocky 3, right? Clubber Lang, he was sitting in the shows, sitting in the back, buying tickets to go watch Rocky fight. You know, he wasn't nothing good to look at. He was doing sit-ups in his basement, running through alleys. And Rocky, he was smiling in the camera. He got with the glove on his chest, bitches kissing women. You know what I'm saying? He riding around. He had a name. He had notoriety. He had money. You know, but he was not a better boxer. You know what I mean? Than Clubber Lang, and it was clear early on. So you got to have a whole deal nowadays. You got to have a whole package.
So if the celebrity fighting, what if somebody, what if I'm not going to do this, so I'm just going to put it out there because I ain't got the money to do this, right? But what if somebody like Dana White comes out with a new league, celebrity fight league, and all he does is just get celebrities and get them to fight each other, especially if you got beef. Do you know how much money they would make if you had Kendrick versus Drake in a fight?
Yeah. I think the problem with that though is,
but what would happen to boxing if that became famous and popular and people start doing stuff like that? Like, what happens to the sport of boxing at that point?
I don't think that it's affected at all, and I'll explain why. Mm-hmm. The people like myself and even you who may not follow it closely, but you follow it, we are having these conversations because we hate the fact that there isn't a separate lane for this. And if it was, if we wanted to watch some drama sideshow stuff, we might peek over there. But boxing has a solid group of fans, of individuals who, quite honestly, a lot of them are tired of saying this. If they tune in, it's because there is no other lane. It is boxing, and it is somebody that you know. Mm-hmm. I think a part of the appeal is that this league might do okay. I don't know what the longevity of it would be because it would be dependent solely on just the fans from those individuals in whom have this beef. But a part of what makes it exciting is the fact that there's some level of legitimacy involved. Joe said, "I will watch that." there's some level of legitimacy involved because there's an actual known boxer. So you kind of want to see, this is some bull crap, but let me just see what's going to happen. Like, let me just see. That's kind of, it still piques your curiosity, which is why you tune in. Both groups tune in when it comes to it being here on the real stage. When it's just over there, like, it's like, okay, like, I'll give you an example. And I know it's going to seem silly and it's going to seem offbeat. If I saw somebody slap somebody in an actual fight, I'm like, man, like, I'm excited to see that. Somebody slap somebody in a fight. I don't know if I want to watch a league of people just slapping one another. Like, if it happened in a fight, if I saw somebody get slapped on the street, if I saw somebody get slapped at a tournament, if I saw somebody get slapped in an MMA fight, like, well, what's my man name? What's his name? I can't think of his name. Pereira. When he was slapping that dude, remember that UFC fight? He had his open hand. Michel Pereira. I think his name looked like it's Michael, but it's because he's a Brazilian. He had his palm open. Look it up. It wasn't that long ago. It was maybe not even a year ago. Maybe a year ago. And in the middle of the fight, I can't believe they let it go on because he was technically not doing anything illegal. He had his hand open and he was slapping this man repeatedly. Like, it didn't just happen like once.
Like he was a pimp. Like he was a pimp, just going
slapping him, dude. Like, I can't remember a funner, better fight. I laughed so hard I couldn't believe it. And he won on top of it. So he won. I think he won by KO. I can't remember. So the thing is that I want to see that for sure. I don't want to watch a league of just people slapping each other. I'm not saying it's nothing wrong with it. I love to watch the highlights. When I see it on my TikTok or whatever, I'm not going to sit down and watch a whole program of that. That's just me. I'm not trying to take nothing away.
I would hope if they did something like that, like, they would get with some trainers and work with a trainer for a few months. I mean, even though I know it's not going to be the best type of boxing, but I would like to think that it's going to look a lot better than a real fight, because real fights look horrible, man. And it's funny you talk about that, because I saw a real fight in front of my house on Friday. In front of my house, literally in front of my house. My wife might still have it on the ring cam, right? So she's watching the whole thing. Me, I'm trying to get ready for work. I had some reports.
She didn't got the popcorn out. She didn't kick her feet up. It was like a program.
She's giving me play-by-play from the other room. I'm in my office. She's in the living room watching this. She got the window open and everything, the curtain on. Like, if them dudes was paying attention, they would have seen her watching, right? So she's giving me, she was like, one guy tried to run the other guy over with his truck. At first, she thought it was a guy and a girl fight, right? That's what she thought at first. She thought the girl was trying to run the guy down, but eventually they both got out the car. One guy, I guess, opened the door, was hitting. He thought the guy was hitting the girl. When they got out, it was two guys, right? And every type of fight that you've seen on TikTok, Instagram, you know, that bad, horrible fighting, just that swinging, that's what it looked like.
Talking about this right here?
Yes, that. And another guy kept doing this. He kept putting the helmet on. So she's asking me, she's like, what is he doing? She's like, what kind of fight is this? You know, she was like, I've seen women fight better than this. I was like, babe, this is what real fights look like.
What real fight look like?
This is why I train my students the way I train my students, because they're going to be better. The way these guys are swinging, I was like, it's all shoulder. If they even hit each other, it's not going to hurt. They're not punching right. They're probably going to break. Somebody's going to break their hand because they're going to hit somebody on the skull, on the forehead, or whatever. I was like, these dudes don't know how to fight, you know?
Right.
And these brothers got tired in 10 seconds. It was like after 10 seconds of that, they looking at each other like, all right, man, they talking.
They still talking. They still talking. Nobody's doing anything. All right, man. You had enough.
One day, homeboys, I guess he stayed across the street because he came outside. Dude, if you seen two of your homeboys out there fighting, you gonna run out, break it up, right? Yeah. Nah. The friend came out with his camera. He came out with the camera.
Oh my God.
Recording them.
Don't surprise me.
So don't surprise me. Like this is this new generation. Like number one, they don't know how to fight. This dude not even trying to break his homeboys up, you know, from scrapping, you know. And they talked it out, and they both got in their cars and they went their own separate ways. Joe said Joe want me to post it, man. I gotta see. I don't know, man. I ain't trying to get sued, Joe. I don't know. I'm gonna have to figure out how to blur.
Hey, man, I need that footage, man, so I can make a professor's perspective and show everything that they did wrong and everything that we could do right.
Right. Anyway, so Tyson versus Floyd, we'll see what happens. Celebrity fighting, we'll see what happens with that. Hopefully, boxing to find a way to turn around, man.
I hope so. I mean, you know, to your point again, you know, about the separate league. I think I'll give you another example. Again, some of these things seem unrelated, but to me, that they kind of are. So, do you remember Ninja Warrior? Right? And when I say Ninja Warrior,
you're talking about the TV show.
Notice what I'm talking about. Ninja Warrior. I didn't say American Ninja Warrior. You see what they did there? You see what they did there?
The TV
show called Ninja Warrior, and it was a Japanese. It was a Japanese show.
I heard of it. Yeah,
it was fantastic back in the day. They would show these people. It was in Japan. That's where the Mount Midoriyama or whatever it's called is, or whatever, because there's actual mountain that was over there that they would eventually go to for the finals and set up and do the stuff there. But it would be in Japanese, but they would translate it, you know, and they were in Japan. It was almost all Japanese people. Every now and again, you'll see an American go over there. Mm-hmm. And they would always announce it, what the person was, you know. And so he's a third grade school teacher, you know, and he's 40 years old or whatever. And whatever they were in real life, they would try their best to actually represent themselves as that. So the guy would come in looking like a teacher with his briefcase and his suit on, and he's trying to negotiate the course, and he never made it past the first obstacle. He'd always fall, he'd mess something up, and then they would scream, "Oh!" and they would make a big deal about it. If it was a woman, if she was a secretary, she would have a secretary outfit, and she's trying to run the course. They were terrible at it. They were terrible. They never made it through. It was hilarious, and it was great. America saw it, and they were like, we can really do something with this. Mm-hmm. They made it American Ninja Warrior. The first couple seasons was like that, kind of. And it was funny because it was something that everybody can be a part of. That's why you watched it, because it was relatable. Like the American Gladiators back in the day, mm-hmm. when they used to have the first few seasons where it was just the regular firefighter, the school teacher, the house father or mom or whatever else. But they messed it up because they started building these courses for American Ninja Warrior, and they had people training. You don't see regular people on there no more. Do you see them people on that show? These people are ripped up.
Oh, yeah,
they go for years and train. They have specific training centers that you can go to. And now to me, I don't watch it anymore because the initial appeal of the regular Joe, the regular person who sits at home, which is why AGT is fantastic. America's Got Talent. Because you like, I could sing, I could do this. You start hiring professional people coming in doing these things. People are training and stuff. And to me, it takes away from the excitement. And I don't know nothing about their ratings or what it looks like, but I know that myself and a lot of people that used to watch it when it was just something that seemed like it was achievable for the regular person and you enjoy seeing a regular person do it, it took that value away. When you start talking about this other league that potentially might come and then people training for it, yeah, if it was Drake versus Kendrick or whatever it might be, you might get a good year or two out of that of people that wants to participate. But you're going to eventually get those people that's going to start sneaking in and actually are professionals getting professional training, and then it's going to change the course. So when you watch it, that same, because when you watching it, it'd be nice to see some good fighting, but you kind of want to see that bad fighting. You want it because that's what you expect to see, because you know that these two people can't really fight. And it would look weird if these guys come out looking like professionals. Now you're like, well, if I wanted to watch this, I would just watch boxing. So I think that it would have a difficult time with sustainability, because people will come in and eventually taint it by almost taking it too serious, like you would hope that they would. And I think it would change things.
I think it's going to change things, but I think it would improve, because like, think of Versus. Remember Versus when they used to do the Versus hip hop show? When they first did Versus during COVID, it was people at home, artists. It was Mary J against Jill Scott, and they're on their computers like us right now when they did the Versus. And Mary J would do her song, then Jill Scott would do her song, and vice versa. But Versus eventually became like a concert, and they had people in one location and they were on stage, and it got better, and they were doing a real show. I think that if you got two people who genuinely do not like each other, like Ja Rule and 50 Cent, I think those two brothers would take it seriously. And if you got beef with somebody, they would try to kill each other in that ring. I think that will be a good fight, and it would be bad blood. It wouldn't be people that's going to make up and be cool after, you know what I'm saying, raising each other's hands. I don't know, man. I think you might be able to get a good 5 years out of it if you have something like that, but who knows?
I don't know that many people that would be willing to put their name on the line and stake it to go against somebody like that.
That's a different thing.
That right? I don't know. Like,
you're 100% right about that.
Again, I would do it against a legitimate boxer, because nothing's supposed to really come of it, right? I'm supposed to lose, so I'm playing with house money. But as far as getting a plethora of people who are still actively involved in music or whatever they're involved in, to want to go on national television, international television, international stage, and put their reputation out there like that they wouldn't be able to bounce back from. I don't know what the influx of people that want to do.
You're 100% right, man. You're 100% right. But at the same time, in rap and hip hop, the person who strikes first is going to be in a better position, because if I'm Drake and I challenge Kendrick, you got to step up and fight, or else you can't say nothing else against them, because you now have the opportunity to just knuckle up.
Right.
Like, I don't want to hear nothing else, no rapping or nothing. If I challenge you to a fight, we got the money, we got the ring. All you got to do is get in the ring, and if you don't get in the ring.
But I think that's what the Paul brothers were trying to do when they're starting their kind of their own organization. Remember, on the undercards, they had basketball players fighting each other and stuff like that. I think that was kind of what their concept was. And again, why isn't it? Why, like, you don't really hear about those fights a lot, anymore. They're focusing on fighting on the bigger stages right now, because they understand that the sustainability is going to be very difficult to keep over the course of time, I think.
Yeah. Let's move on, man. So that was a good topic. Let's talk about I really wanted Chris to be on here with us, but I think you can handle it. Did you guys, when you guys got started in jiu-jitsu, did you guys use instructionals? And if you did, what is the best way for a new student to use those instructionals? A lot of jiu-jitsu black belts, especially the Brazilian guys, all of the Gracie families, and John Danaher and Gordon Ryan and Craig Jones, all these guys now are putting out instructionals. And like I said, I think you were part of that third wave of jiu-jitsu practitioners that came out in the early 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003, around that time. So I don't even know if you guys had instructionals, or did you guys, like, I don't consider myself, I don't consider the Gracies in action as a instructional. Now you might look at it differently. I don't know, because I never watched those tapes or whatever. But what do you think? Like, did you use instructionals? And if so, what's the best way for someone to use them?
So I was around at a time where jiu-jitsu, like, you was scrambled to try to find any type of footage to see any jiu-jitsu because it just wasn't available. It just you couldn't find it. I would go to Barnes and Nobles, each week, and I would look to see if I can find another jujitsu instructional book. Those really worked well for me back in the day. There was those color books that the Gracies and a lot of other people, the Machados and stuff, and Zanji, Hibero, and the rest of those guys, they would put out back in the day. And there was a very good breakdown of it being written out. You'd see the pictures, and it'll show step by step. And for me, being able to have that visual and look at it, see the grip, see all of these things, it was the only thing. Like I couldn't compare it, but this was better than the video because there were no videos. There was nothing. I remember I went to a tournament one time. Well, let me back up a little bit. I started going to tournaments, local ones, even just to watch because it was the only time I could see jiu-jitsu. So we only had 2 or 3 in Michigan for a whole year, which is why I eventually started the EFG, the Elite Federation of Grapplers, and which ran for 15 years.
I didn't even know that was yours. I heard of it. I never even knew that was yours until just now.
Yeah, I started in 2008. Okay. Because the only tournaments back in the day, an old friend of mine named Abdullah, he used to have a tournament. He'd have one tournament. Kaiki would come into town, and then he would have his tournament. He'd have about 2. At the time, he had 2 a year. I think he had 2 to 3 a year. He'd have one with just the gi, and I think he eventually added a no gi one as well. And then Ryan Firenze, I can't say his name right. He would have a tournament as well. But that was pretty much it. It was and there was some other tournaments that might pop up. And if somebody's watching and I forgot to mention yours, I apologize. But the general consensus, I'm sure everybody can agree, there wasn't more than 3 or 4. And then even those were not always very consistent. But whenever there was one, I would show up, even if I wasn't competing, because I wanted to watch jiu-jitsu. When I was training, I was addicted to it. And eventually I started competing in them. But I remember going to a tournament and I bought for like it was either $5 or $10. It was like somebody had a Mundial's 2005 that was burnt. They were selling them like bootlegs, burnt CDs. And I don't know how they got the footage, but it was from Brazil. And when I was so excited to get that, man, I took that thing home. I threw it in and it was choppy. It was broken up. It was discolored. It didn't matter. I was able to see jiu-jitsu. I think that a lot of the people started, getting involved with MMA back in the day because they knew there was an opportunity for them to see jiu-jitsu. So it wasn't up on YouTube. There wasn't a lot of stuff available. The Gracie in Actions were them going to various academies and actually challenging people and fighting them. Those were the Gracie in Actions. But the Gracies did eventually come up with instructional videos. And then that was the first set that I got. My assistant, and they were very expensive back in the day. To get the whole library, it was something crazy like $500 or $600 to get the whole library. Okay. And I think it was for Christmas. My assistant got me the entire series. I'm not sure how much he paid for it, but they were all brand new. It was entire from white belt all the way through black belt worth of VHS tapes.
How many was it?
It was a lot. It was like 12, 15 of them, something like that.
Okay.
And I did watch them. By then I had, I would think I was a high level blue belt, maybe pushing purple, something like that. But I did watch them. I still liked my books more because that was what I was used to learning from at the time. But I did start picking up some other instructional DVDs. Some from Hoyler, some from the Machados, some from some of my buddies that put out some stuff, and I just started getting as much content as I possibly could. So yes, although because I started so early, it wasn't really available to me like it is now. It's all over YouTube now. They got instructionals out now. Everybody's got them out now. When I came up, it wasn't as readily available as it is now. But when it became available, I did use them and I did watch them. I believe that back in the day, we made fun of people that, you must have learned that on YouTube. You must have learned on YouTube. Yeah. And it's because when they first started putting these things on YouTube, people doing movies, stuff like that, it wasn't a lot of the high level guys. And a lot of the information or it wasn't as detail oriented as it is now. There's actually people that are good instructors, that are world champions, that have successful and thriving academies, that's putting great detail oriented information on YouTube that it wasn't 15 or 20 years ago, right? So whether it be from YouTube or just instructionals, yes, I believe that, I did use them. I didn't go on YouTube again because you used to get called back in the day, and based on the people that was putting information up there, they probably shouldn't have been. But those DVDs, those VHSs, those instructionals, those are from credible individuals. That's why you purchased them. So I would use those. They were very helpful and very informative. The only problem with an instructional DVD or a YouTube, we all know, and if you don't, I will say this, I'm sure you've heard it before, but if you haven't, I'll be the first to tell you, you can't ask the questions. So jiu-jitsu, a lot of times we have very specific questions that we need to ask that we can't get that call and response that we can when we're training, which is why if you're going to use them, it should be in conjunction with actual training, meaning you should be enrolled in an academy, you should have a professor, and then you can use these things to be able to help add on to whatever it is that you're learning, not to supplement, not in exchange of it. Don't throw the techniques your professor showing you out and saying that's not going to work. And that's what was happening too. You got a lot of people that was combative back in the day when the YouTube videos first came out and the instructionals, and they would look at these things because these people were very reputable and credible people at the time, and they would go back to the instructors and say, well, I don't think this is going to work because on my instructional from the Gracies or from the Machados or whatever else, then they do it like this. So it became a combative situation back in the time, and a lot of instructors were not happy with that because they were trying to challenge the knowledge or replace the knowledge as opposed to using it as something as in addition to what they were learning. But you can now get good sound instruction from an instructional, from something that you saw on YouTube. I love jiu-jitsu because of the fact that you can actually go and try something that you learned and fail at it or succeed. And then at that point in time, while you work and get your training partner, your buddy, your guys on the mat, they don't know what you're watching at home. They don't know what you're doing. So you can go and try this thing fresh, right? And then if it doesn't work, you can ask your instructor about it, get tips on things. Even if they're not familiar with the move, they're familiar with the principles. They understand what makes something successful and what doesn't. And they can walk you through how to be successful with it. But definitely, I would advise against using instructionals to teach you as far as to circumvent going into an academy, right? It shouldn't be a substitute for that, right? It should be done in conjunction with actual learning. Anything you see on YouTube, any instructionals, watch those things, go, add it to your arsenal, try it with your training partners, with your classmates, with your buddies, fail at it. And when you try it, even if it succeeds, the way that you're going to be successful is try it against different people in your class, that's different experience levels, and most of all, different weights. That's important too. If I use somebody's 50 pounds smaller than me, and I try to do a sweep, maybe I'll muscle through that. Let me roll with somebody else and let me try it, maybe even not today, because maybe they peeped me doing it, but I'm gonna try it again against somebody that's a little bit heavier, and see it, am I still find that level of success, and then you're able to tweak it from there. But they definitely are great to be able to use in conjunction with actual training, because you need that instructor, that professor, as a sounding board for you to be able to voice your opinions and concerns and be able to get actual questions answered that you can't from watching an instructional.
Now, because that's a good response, man. Because the way things are now, do you think it's necessary for a student to watch instructionals in order to improve? Or do you think somebody could just go to class? Because me personally, like, I look at instructionals. I have a bunch of instructionals, plus I'm part of, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. So we have access to a video catalog that I hop online every day and I look at, all 30-something classes for myself. So it's definitely beneficial. When I go to class, I know what we're doing that day. So I watch the video before I go to class. So then when I get to class, then I do it, and then I'll watch it again maybe the next day or later on that evening. So now I really, really have it down now, those particular techniques. But like you were saying, man, when I first started off, I was strictly online. I tried the Gracie University, and I had a dummy, and I was at my school, and I'm practicing. And I was like, this not gonna work because I don't know. Number one, if I'm doing the techniques right, this dummy is only giving me so much. It's not moving at all, so it's only giving me so much resistance.
Right.
So I was like, no, I need people. So then I jumped on and I found the nearest school to me, and it just so happened to be in Kegel Harbor. So that's where I go out there 3 days a week. But it really, really helps me as far as, you know, watching the videos before I go to class, then go to class, do it, and then I can watch it again. You know, but do you think that a person at another academy, like let's say somebody goes to, I don't know, Cobra Kai Jiu-Jitsu, I shouldn't even use them because that's a real jiu-jitsu place. I don't know. Are they even still in business? They were in Vegas. They
still out here.
They still out there. All right. Let's say somebody goes there, but they don't have any instructors. Do you think that is do you think that's necessary to watch instructions in order to improve, or should they just keep going to class?
There's a few schools of thought with this. When I first heard you asking the question, I kind of had my mind made up, but there's actually a few schools of thought that's important to know and consider. Number one, you highlighted that you should go to class 3 days a week. And last week you asked me a question about how often should an individual train. We talked about possibility of people burning out and things like that. And you talked about the hobbyist versus the competitor versus the, MMA fighter. I think 3 days a week at your level is a healthy amount of time to be able to go. So I think that to answer your question, it partly lies in how frequently is a person really training. If you're training regularly and consistently and you have a good, instructor, professor, school, good teammates, I don't think that you'd have to use them. But I will say that every advantage that you have, and the people in this, as I just spoke a little while ago, and I brought up, the people that's training in this era, they have so much more avail to them than they did, in my particular area when I was coming up. A lot of these things were just getting introduced. Mm-hmm. So with that in mind, the more that you can use then and take advantage of, then obviously the better it'll be for your level of progression, advancement, and growth. But when you are new, I will say this, and I will caution you, and it kind of goes to what I was talking about going back and asking questions and challenging your professor. You can't overload yourself with information, so much so to where you begin to question the efficiency of something else that maybe you're actually learning in your class, or the effectiveness of it. You start to question those things because sometimes these instructionals are very what's the word I'm looking for? They'll make sure that they'll let the person know this isn't the only way that you can do this, right? Mm-hmm. There's multiple ways, but this is the way that I like to do this. But you'll have some other people, because now there's so many people that's doing these things that you have to stand out when you're doing these YouTube videos and stuff. Some people will just flat out say, if you're learning it like this, you're doing it wrong, right? That's not going to work. So they're very dogmatic in their approach. I've seen back in the day, the Gracies do it to one another. And they will talk about the brother, because I train with a lot of them. They will talk about the person that taught them. I know my brother teach the move like this. That's not going to work. I don't know why he teaches it this way. I don't ever do this. Well, don't put your hand in here. You don't have to do. All you do, you sit back, you do, and they will just. I'm like, that's your brother, man. Nah, he should not teach this way. I tell them it never worked, and I'm like, wow. So if I'm new, and I'm like, but that's the way we do it over there. They'll do it that way. So now I'm like, okay, wait a minute. I got this guy telling me specifically. He's not saying, well, you know what? There's more than one way to do this. Maybe you can do. No, he said, don't do it that way. So it can confuse a person who can't discern between, because some of the times you don't understand the principle. You just look at the technique. That's the difference between people at a lower level and when you get hired. I can look at something, somebody can teach it, you can do it, whatever else. I understand the principle of the move, right? That's what's important, not the move itself. I don't try to, back in the day when you're trying to memorize the move and you're like, why isn't it working? Why isn't it working? Because you don't understand the principle. The principle behind the move is what makes the move itself work. And if you don't understand that because you're just looking at the move, that's where you can get lost. So if you got to be careful when you're using instructionals and you're a newer student or practitioner, because it can get to a point to where, depending upon who you're watching, they can make sure that they explain to you, hey, listen, there's multiple ways of doing this. This is the way that I found a great deal of success. And then you can try this way too. And then you'll have a school of individuals with a school of thought where they're just telling you, don't do it this way. And then you go to class or professor teaches you that way. And then you're trying to rock with them for a while. But then you walk and you come to the side and say, listen, I'm watching this thing on YouTube. I'm watching these instructions and they saying that you're teaching it wrong. You shouldn't do it this way. They're saying that that's not going to work. Now you done piss them off. And you're like, what you mean it's not going to work? And now I'm trying to argue with somebody on the television or somebody on YouTube. And I have to prove my trust to you because of the fact that you are watching multiple schools of thought, things like that. So we got to be careful with that. As long as you understand what you're watching, how to watch it, and what you're looking to get from it. And again, adding it to your arsenal of what is being taught to you, then yes, you can watch it. It can be helpful and it will help you progress faster because you're going to be getting introduced to information that the rest of your class isn't going to be necessarily getting introduced to if they're not watching those same instructionals. So you're going to have a heads up because you're going to know things that they're not going to know. They're only going to know what they're learning in class, and you guys are going to be trying to use it against one another. But if you're going to look at these things and use it to be able to try to discredit what you're learning, you're going to have a very unhappy professor, and you're going to create a very hostile environment in your academy.
Good response, man. Good response. The next topic I had, but I don't think we're going to get into it this week. But it's about CGI. CGI 2 happened a couple of weeks ago. It might have been last week. I can't remember, man. But anyway, B Team ended up beating New Wave. They won $1 million. Helena Crevar, she won, and the women's tournament, she won $100,000. She won. That girl, she can roll. She's pretty talented. But my question really I wanted you to see was I wanted to know if you saw Craig Jones against Chael Sonnen. They had a match. Chael stepped in at the last second. I can't remember the guy who was supposed to go against Craig. It was a American wrestler, and his name just escaped me. He's trying out for the Olympic team, and he was in the WWE, and he left because he wanted to try out for the Olympics. Oh man, I can't remember that guy's name. But anyway,
I don't know.
He pulled out. So Chael stepped in, and Craig put him to sleep within 30 seconds with a buggy choke.
That's what I heard.
Yeah. He put him to sleep. And I watched that, like, this can't be real. Now, of course, Chael, he gets into the pit, man, and he cuts a Ravishing Rick Rude promo. He literally does a Ravishing Rick Rude promo before they started. And Craig comes out of the bathroom stall. That's where the camera was at. And he acted like he did a line, and walked to the ring, and then the pit. He got in and they went at it. And I guess he went for a double leg.
Of course. I didn't even see it. I already knew what happened.
Put him in a buggy choke, and he went to sleep. And I'm thinking, like, he's not fighting. Like, I'm like, he can't be really, really asleep already. Like, this can't happen. So then they said he did. They said he put him to sleep. They got back up. Chael said he wanted to go again. Said, okay, we're gonna do the best 2 out of 3. This one lasted about a minute or so, I guess. I don't know. I didn't look at the time. He did the exact same thing again, put him to sleep. Then Chael said, "Oh, let's do 3 out of 5." And Big John McCarthy said, "No, that's it." And I want you to watch that. And
I'm gonna watch it. I'll be more prepared for our next session. I heard that Chael got put to sleep with the 2 buggy chokes.
Yeah.
So a good buddy of mine and one of the fighters under our stable, Bubba Jenkins, I think he was there commentating that because I know he was supposed to be a commentator on that. I haven't spoken to him about it, but I'm gonna take some time to watch it myself. And if it's 30 seconds in a minute, that means I can watch the entire thing in 90 seconds. So I mean, there ain't no sweat off my back.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to tell you to watch the whole event. I don't even understand why it was a 2-day event, man. A 2-day event. Day 1 was 7 hours. Day 2 wasn't quite as long. It might have been 4 or 5 hours, but that's a long time to be watching jiu-jitsu.
It's a long time. Back in the day, I used to be in love with it. I would get the ADCC DVDs. I would put it on my Christmas list every year. and I would get it for Christmas. And whoever was in the house, they knew. Like once I put those boys in, I was falling asleep with them. I mean, I love those DVDs every year, those 80cc's. I hate that they did so much online. Now I know I sound old school. I'm sorry, but that was my thing, man. I put the DVD in. I got my Christmas food. I done ate it. I done passed out. Went to sleep. Woke back up. Jiu-Jitsu still on. Eat some more. Go to sleep. Wake back up. Jiu-Jitsu still on.
Mm-hmm.
Take the DVD out. It had a multiple DVD set. Put the next DVD in the next day. They hated me. After Christmas, they hated me. Nobody can watch TV in the living room for at least until New Year because I was watching these things. Mm-hmm. So it's now where I'm at now. I can't, our attention span's so bad nowadays. I can't even watch nothing if it's going to be longer than 2 minutes long. You ain't got to have me sitting down here watching those 7 hours of jiu-jitsu, especially when a lot of these people I don't really even follow or rock with anymore, to be honest with you. So there's a few practitioners that I enjoy watching. Many of them are people that I know. But other than that, I just can't find entertainment and value, and it's because it's weird, man. They trying to reinvent the wheel, and we'll say that for a different segment, a different show. And I think we talked about this in the past about how so much of it, like of jiu-jitsu, they've changed, and it's just because I don't know if they're trying to if it's struggling with relevance. I know that's not it because people are getting $1 million now. Yeah, but it's just I don't know, man.
The rules were a little bit different, and because the as far as the teams go, there were 8 teams that they had, and people were if you didn't submit someone, then both people were out of the contest. So they wanted you to actually go for the submissions. But I didn't see a lot of submissions, a whole lot. I saw a lot of people trying, and man, it was so many people that was doing the leg lock game, and I felt like it made it kind of boring because it was all no gi. This is not a gi tournament, and I just felt like it was a little bit boring to me, just watching guys constantly just go after knee bars.
That's no gi. I had to learn it. Like when I was purple belt. And I started rolling with wrestlers because nowadays you got to understand it's not like it used to be. You're getting wrestlers transitioning into jiu-jitsu, which is why it's harder. Yeah. Because these are guys that come with ready-made takedowns and understanding of ground control. Mm-hmm. And then you have older guys like Chael, who he did MMA and he, garnered a certain level of success, but he's still a wrestler first. So that's how I knew he shot a double leg without watching it. And I know he got put in the buggy choke because of that, because he still has that wrestler first kind of mentality. But now you're getting wrestlers that are transitioning into jiu-jitsu for MMA purposes, and these guys they're tough, and you're not getting nothing on the upper body for them. They don't have no neck, so they ain't got no neck to choke, so you can forget a choke. And then I was trying to go on with arm bars and stuff like that with these wrestlers, and some of these guys are so big, man, they can almost just yank me across the mat or stand up with me while I'm trying to go for an arm lock back in the day. And I was like, I couldn't do anything with them. But when I started going for the legs, they panicked like it was no tomorrow. They was trying to step out of it and flip and roll. That was something that they were not accustomed to. They were used to all the upper body struggles that you had. Mm-hmm. You might get them with a shoulder lock because a lot of them just did not have that flexibility in the shoulder back then because they were like bodybuilders. But now these guys, they got the shoulder flexibility. Mm-hmm. But when you go for those legs, those guys scattered. And I started tapping guys when I started learning how to do basic. This was back in the day where things were still newer. Basic leg locks. It wasn't even anything advanced. And then I started learning advanced ways to set them up from failed attempts of different positions and things like that. So in no-gi, that's what you're going to see. A lot of the leg lock game because it's too hard to finish somebody with a straight arm bar. It's too hard to finish somebody in the Kimura. It's too hard to get to somebody's neck because they ain't got no neck. You know what I mean? And they're not going to give certain things up. So you're going to see a lot of that in no-gi.
Okay. All right. Well, since we talk about jiu-jitsu, let's move on to the professor's perspective. What do you got for us this week, man?
All right. So when we're talking about principles, all right, we're talking about the rear naked choke here. So the principle is obviously we understand how to finish a choke. We've seen it done before. But what I'm explaining to a group here is that as opposed to squeezing, there's something really simple that you can do to increase the speed and the effectiveness of the choke. And instead of squeezing with the arms, is just simply sliding the shoulder back of the arm that you have around the neck. Now, I haven't seen very many people discuss it or teach it like this, and it's the simplest thing. Most chokes like this will take about 6 to 8 seconds to be able to put somebody to sleep or unconscious. Just by changing this particular dynamic, all right, and implementing this particular principle, it takes it to about 4 to 6 seconds, closer to 4. You see that all I did, that wasn't even 2 seconds. I put my arm around his throat, all right, and once I get the arm locked into place, now make sure we're not making this rookie mistake. When we're putting this arm that's behind the head, the palm shouldn't be facing towards the back of the head where we're pushing the person's head. That actually is taking away from the effectiveness of the choke. And you'll see a lot of beginners do this. But if you notice, my palm is towards me when I'm doing this, right? That's the way it's supposed to be. So the arm's around the throat, the hands is inside the bicep, and this goes behind the head. This is just a brace to make sure that there's no space for him to be able to escape or breathe. Now, what most people do is they start squeezing here. They start squeezing. And yes, they can finish the choke. It does get tight. It doesn't take a tremendous amount of strength. But depending upon where you are in the fight or the match, a few things may happen. Number one, your arms might be gassed. Number two, you might be short on time. And you need to finish the person and you don't have a lot of time. Instead of squeezing, the arm that I have around the neck, you're going to see me just slide it straight back. And because this arm's in position here, it forces his neck into the choke, and he taps immediately. So if we watch it one more time, you'll notice as the arm goes around the neck, right there, I slide my hand behind his head. All right, my hands in the bicep, and notice all I did was slid the left shoulder back. I had the left arm around his throat. I slid the left shoulder back. I'll do it on the right side as well. You'll see it in just a second. So that goes around the neck. My right hand is going to go on my left bicep, just a very traditional way of catching a rear naked choke. And then I'm just going to slide that shoulder straight back. And that's what increases the speed and the pressure. Just the choke itself feels so much different, right? It's just like you panic. Look how he didn't know what I was going to do. And he tapped at me like, whoa. You know, the other one sneaks up on you gradually, which is why so many people go to sleep. They feel like they can fight it because it sneaks up on them. And it requires the person that's doing it to use a lot more strength. Sometimes you see the person's face, they're squeezing. But instead of doing that, just sliding the shoulder back, and automatically thrust their head into that choke position, and it just takes the air away right away. Instead of it gradually increasing, it just takes the air away right away. So my perspective is that's the best way to be able to do that choke, the fastest way to be able to finish it. I think you should try it, and then you're going to notice a substantial difference for sure.
Good, man. You know what? We worked on that last week in class, rear naked choke. We worked on that also. And one of the things that my coach was working on was telling us that, like, a lot of people think that it's the bicep. You're squeezing the bicep when you do it, and you're not. You're doing what you say. You're pulling the shoulders back as you're doing it. So right on point, man. So I did that last week. So
excellent.
Cool. Yep, worked. All right, man. I guess that's it. I guess Chris not going to join us. He ain't going to make it.
He ain't going to make it because we done. We out of here. Next time.
That's right.
But we're consistent, though. The consistency has improved.
There you go.
So that's good.
It wasn't a month between shows, so that's
wasn't cool. A month between
Trav will be happy.
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah, man. So if you can, look at the highlights from CJI. Just find out what you can about it so we can chop it up and talk about it next week. Definitely watch Chael and Craig Jones, man. And let me know if that was real or if that was a work, because I really don't think that was a real fight.
Based on the theatrics beforehand, and afterwards, it doesn't sound like that it was real. Knowing how Chael is, as well, it doesn't sound like it was real. But I'm not gonna put nothing past nobody because they might have planned on having the theatrics, but getting out there and actually fighting for real. So who knows? I'm surprised if it was real, though. This is the only thing I'm surprised about. I heard about it from a couple people more or less in that kind of circle, but it wasn't talked about very heavily. And it seemed like this would be viral. We would hear a lot more about it. And even people who are not necessarily in jiu-jitsu circles, but that are MMA circles or things like that, I feel like it would be a lot more in my face than it is. I wouldn't have heard about it. I would have, whether I chose to see it or not, it would have just flooded so many different social media things and timelines that I'm involved in that I would have saw it. It would have been my face whether I wanted to or not. So that's what makes me kind of skeptical about the realism of it. But I'll take a look and give you my opinion.
All right, cool. All right, everyone. Stay safe, stay strong. We'll holler at you next week, and I will end our stream.